They thought they were just removing a man from a school gymnasium. They didn't know he'd once stormed enemy territory alone, or that for Navy SEALs in the crowd owed him their lives. What began as a moment of humiliation would soon turn into the most unforgettable silence the town had ever known. Read till the end for the shocking twist. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that prove real heroes never wear capes. They wear scars. It was supposed to be the proudest day of his life. It is Marcus Hammer James stepped onto the sun-scorched concrete outside Jefferson High, dressed in a crisp navy blue shirt, clean jeans, and boots polished like a mirror. No one saw a hero, only a black man with a military gait and scars that told a story no one wanted to hear. Not here. Not in this picture-perfect town draped in red, white, and ignorance. He walked alone, clutching a folded program with his son's name printed in gold, unaware that in just under 20 minutes, he'd be asked to leave in front of 1,000 people by 2 security guards who hadn't fought a single war but thought they knew who belonged and who didn't. The gymnasium was packed, bursting with cheers and iPhone flashes, the rows of parents glowing with pride. But Marcus wasn't glowing. He was scanning the bleachers like he once scanned Iraqi rooftops for snipers, hoping to find his son Elijah's cap amidst the sea of mortarboard tassels. And he did. Finally, 3rd row from the front, left side, sitting straight-backed like his father had taught him, young man who'd grown up with his father's dog tags hanging by the window, whose bedtime stories were whispered accounts of bravery and brotherhood that Marcus rarely shared with the world. And as the principal called the graduates to rise, Marcus stood too, not out of habit, but pride, until a tap on his shoulder made the world tilt. "Sir, we need you to step outside," said the first guard, a stocky man with a shaved head and badge glinting like judgment, while the second guard flanked him with arms crossed like Marcus was some kind of threat, and Marcus, confused but composed, asked, "Why?" To which they mumbled something about a seating mix-up, suspicious behavior, and unregistered guests, though it was clear from their eyes that what they meant was, "You don't belong here." People started turning around, whispering, craning necks to watch the commotion like vultures circling something wounded. And Elijah, still seated, still unaware, had no idea his father was being escorted out of the room like a trespasser instead of the man who taught him to stand tall. Marcus didn't argue, didn't raise his voice because he'd learned long ago that black men who bark in public get bitten first. But as he walked down the steps, shame weighing heavier than the prosthetic he wore beneath his jeans, he paused for just a second near the double doors, the ones leading out into the parking lot where silence lived, and thought, "This isn't the battle, not yet." But then the door burst open, and silence was exactly what followed, because as the guards turned to usher Marcus out completely, 4 men stood up at once from opposite corners of the gym, dressed in civilian clothes but carrying the unmistakable aura of men who'd seen death and shaken. Tanned, they weren't teachers, weren't parents, weren't part of the local community. They were shadows, and they moved with the precision of muscle memory, like predators uncoiling, and before the guards could ask who they were, the tallest of them, a broad-shouldered blonde, with a steel gaze and a scar slicing across his temple, barked, "That man goes nowhere," and the entire gym fell quiet. The principal frozen at the mic, Elijah halfway out of his seat as he finally recognized what was happening. And the guards, suddenly unsure, tried to puff their chests and claim authority, until one of the SEALs, a wiry man with calm fury in his voice, stepped forward and said, "You don't know who that man is, do you?" And the guards blinked, stammering as the blond man added, "That's Staff Sergeant Marcus James, United States Marine Corps, who dragged my unconscious body out of a kill zone when my own brothers left me to die, who stitched his own leg shut to keep fighting, who saved all 4 of us in Fallujah when the mission went sideways," and another chimed in, "He has more right to be in this room than anyone breathing," and it was then, as the realization spread like wildfire, that murmurs turned to gasps, and gasps to silence, the silence of a room that suddenly understood it had made a grave mistake. Elijah was now on stage, tears fighting pride, gripping the mic as he said, "That's my father." Voice cracking, "And if he leaves, I leave too." And just like that, the moment flipped. From humiliation to honor, from dismissal to standing ovation, as the crowd rose, led not by obligation but by awe, clapping not because they were told to, but because they finally saw him, saw the man beneath the skin, beneath the uniform, beneath the years of sacrifice wrapped in silence. The guards slunk away, no longer confident. Now just two men who'd touched the wrong nerve in a building that had forgotten what patriotism really meant. Damn. And as Marcus stood still, face unreadable, one of the SEALs, his name was Petty Officer Langston, a man who owed Marcus not just his life but his daughter's first birthday, stepped forward, saluted, and said, "You ever need backup, you call us first." And Marcus, blinking once to clear the tears he didn't want the room to see, nodded and said, "Didn't expect to need backup at a high school." To which Langston replied, "Funny how the quietest wars are the loudest inside." And as Elijah crossed the stage, diploma in hand, he didn't walk to the principal or the photographers. He walked straight to his father and handed him the diploma, saying, "This is yours too, Dad." And it was then that the last twist came. Because the principal, red-faced and teary-eyed, took the mic and announced, "Due to a scheduling error, one more honorary diploma is to be awarded today to a man who never finished high school because he went to war instead." And, as the crowd erupted again, Marcus James, former Marine, former protector of lives, current target of prejudice, received a diploma from the same school that tried to push him out. Was that he'd survived it long enough to see his son rise higher. After the ceremony, the four SEALs stayed by his side like guardian angels in jeans and tattoos, escorting him through the same doors he'd been nearly dragged out of. And though no apologies were spoken by the guards who had vanished into some forgotten hallway, the silence they left behind was apology enough. Outside, under the flag he'd once bled for, Marcus finally exhaled, the sun warm on his face. His son beside him, his brothers at his back, and a diploma in his hand that felt like a victory far greater than any he'd known in combat. Because this war, the quiet war of perception and judgment, he'd won without lifting a single weapon. And if anyone ever dared question again why he came, who he was, or what he'd done, all they need to do is ask the four SEALs who never forgot, or the sun who never stopped looking up to the man they tried to push down. Subscribe for more. True life stories that pierce the silence, shake the walls, and honor the unbreakable.